At the request of the user SeparateYak8693, I am making a tutorial for how to copy a player's data when you have a save file of a Minecraft server. First off, we're gonna need the NBTExplorer, which allows us to view the data of a Minecraft save. Next, we're gonna need the Minecraft UUID locator, which allows us to find the UUID of said player, making it considerably easier for us to get the right file. Next, we're obviously gonna need a save file for said server, downloaded and ideally already put into the Minecraft saves folder. Now, once you have the save file, you need to download NBTExplorer. Link will be in the description, unless it's not, in which case I forgot, and launch it. Ideally, you're gonna want to open 2 windows of it. Now, if it doesn't show you this, what you're gonna wanna do is click File, Open Minecraft Save Folder. You're gonna want to open the actual world that you want to copy the data in. Now, in one of your instances, you want to open the player data folder. In the other, you want to open the level.dat of this save file. Next, you're gonna need to open up the mcuid.net and enter the username of said player. In this case, we're gonna use Technoblade, and this is the name of the file that you want to look at. This is UUID. If the account name changed, this would still be the same. So you want to open up your NBTExplorer and find this specific UUID. So B876. You find that in the list. You want to open this .dat, which is the latest one. So you open up level.dat. You add a compound tag layer, press OK, and I put it in the wrong fucking thing. Press data, click the correct button, player, OK, and now here you have the player information. Now, next, what you're gonna wanna do is pretty much copy everything from this file into the player tag. Well, not necessarily everything, but definitely at least the most important things. Now, I'm gonna try to explain at least the important tags in here for those who don't know what they do. Now, abilities is a compound tag which shows abilities. These are self-explanatory. Now, if you for some reason wanted to make the player who is still in survival invulnerable, you can edit this tag that says invulnerable. May fly should allow you to fly in survival. We can, of course, try that out as well. You copy this, you paste it here. Brain is generally not important. That one is more important for entities, specifically the ones that actually have something stored in it, such as villagers, but players are not villagers, so that's not important. Bucket is also not necessary, seeing as we are gonna be launching this in single player. However, opening up this tag does tell us the last known name of the player whose information we are editing, meaning you can also use this to double check that you are actually copying the right player's information. It also tells us the first and last played time, although it is in a format that you would need to actually convert. Now, I don't know how, but I'm sure there's something for that online. Paper, same thing as bucket, we don't really need to copy it. Now, recipe book is not generally necessary. However, we can copy it still, because at the very least it will spare us some of the annoying pop-ups when you unlock a new recipe. Active effects, pretty self-explanatory. Now, if we want to copy all the effects that the player had on them, some of which may be from potions, this is the tag to copy. If we also wanted to edit them, this is where we would do it. Of course, most of these are probably from beacons anyway, so no need to do much with that. Attributes, those are basic attributes. You can read more about them on the Minecraft wiki, but they tell you the attributes of a player. So generic attack speed, these are base attributes, meaning they are not affected by armor and whatever other items or effects the person may or may not have on them, meaning this base 20 does not contain any health that might be added by health boost effect or any items that modify said attribute, which in this particular case there are none anyway, but depending on the server there may be some. So of course if we wanted to edit that, this is what we would change to, well, whatever we want. Same with the rest of them. Now, these are almost certainly not changed. We can copy them anyway. Ender items. Now, this is the ender chest of the player. You can also look through it, edit the count, edit the slot, although I would generally advise against editing the slot unless you intend to go through all these slots to make sure that there are no duplicities. Copy, paste. Inventory. Pretty much the same thing as ender chest, copy paste. Of course, you can also see the various tags of any items. For example, this is the netherite pickaxe. You could change the name here. You could change the enchantments. Let's leave it alone though. We are trying to make an accurate copy. Motion, in most cases, not really necessary. Although if the player happened to log off while they were being launched from, say, a TNT cannon, copying this might actually be a bit more helpful. Paper.origin, once again, not necessary. Pause. Now this is the position of the player. Of course, you can edit it. We're not gonna. Rotation. Same thing, pretty self-explanatory. Absorption amount, this is the absorption hearts that you in most cases get from a golden apple, although you could set this to be anything really. Air, well, not necessarily self-explanatory, but yes, this would be the total ticks that you can still stay underwater before you begin to drown. Bucket update level, unnecessary. Data version, not strictly necessary, but we can copy it too, no harm there. Death time, once again, kinda unnecessary. Now, dimension, Minecraft overworld. This one is necessary, especially if the player is in a different dimension, as otherwise it would most likely just put them on these coordinates in the overworld, which is not ideal if that person happened to be in the nether, especially if there's something on those coordinates already, such as a mountain, a wall, or a giant fucking pit. Fall distance, generally unnecessary. This only tells the game how far you have been falling at the time of the save being made. Only really relevant if you logged off mid-fall. Fall flying, for a player, completely unnecessary. This would be relevant for entities, as setting this to 1 would allow them to use Elytra. Fire, generally unnecessary unless it's different than -20. This tells the game how many ticks you will still be on fire. This means that we have approximately 1 second before we catch on fire, depending on the DPS. Food exhaustion level. This tells the game how close you are to losing half a bar of either saturation or hunger, depending on whether or not you have any saturation. Food level, that is how many points of food you have. Food saturation level is how many points of saturation you have. Now, you generally don't see the points of saturation unless you have a mod that allows you to. Food tick timer, it's at 0. We can copy it, but I mean, pretty much anything that is not copied should just fill itself with default values. Health, if it's at 20, we don't need to. I'm still going to anyway. This just tells the game how many hearts you have. 20, that means full health. 1 health is half a heart. Hurt by timestamp, this tells the game how long it's been since you were last hurt. Hurt time, completely unnecessary as of right now. Invulnerable is, well, invulnerable. On ground, just tells the game whether or not you are on the ground. Generally unnecessary. This is also unnecessary. This is just paper information. Player game time, portal cooldown, unimportant. Previous player game type is only relevant for the situations where you are playing with cheats and use the keyboard shortcut F3 plus N, I believe, to switch between your last 2 game types. We can copy it. It's unnecessary, I'd say. Score, we can copy that. Scene credits is for the purposes of showing you the end poem when you defeat the Ender Dragon for the first time. We can copy it, we don't really need to. Selected item slot tells the game which slot you have selected, obviously. In this particular case, it would be the 6th slot, seeing as numbering starts at 0. Sleep timer tells the game how long it's been since you last slept for the purposes of spawning phantoms. Spawn angle, I mean, it's just the angle at which you spawn. Spawn dimension tells the game where it is supposed to respawn you for the purposes of sometimes you sleep in a bed or you use the respawn anchor. If you use the respawn anchor, this would be nether. Also, if you use mods and have your spawn set in another dimension, it would be the name of that dimension. Spawn forced is for the cases where you use the /spawn point command, if I'm correct. If I'm not, well, then I'm wrong, but not like it matters all that much. These are the spawn coordinates. Those are rather important to copy unless you want to spawn at the world spawn. Spigot ticks lived, once again unimportant. World UID least and most. Not entirely sure what those do, but I'd rather copy them just to be safe. XP level, pretty self-explanatory. XP points, once again, pretty self-explanatory. XP seed, this is the seed for generating how many XP you get whenever you pick up an XP orb. XP total, once again, pretty self-explanatory. And this is the UUID. Now, this is the UUID in the 4 integer format. It is generally fairly irrelevant unless you want to work with it, for example, for the purposes of spawning a tamed animal whose owner is a specific player. Now, with all of these important things set up, we can save all modified tags and launch the Minecraft launcher. For the sake of I don't know what, but I'm just gonna switch the skin for now, press play, and if we did everything correctly, which we will find out in just a moment, we should see ourselves wherever the player whose data we copied last logged off. Now we launch the world and now we wait. Yep, so as we can see, the inventory is copied, presumably correct. The armor, we got the effects here. As I was saying, it is from a beacon, and if we find an ender chest right behind us, we can see that everything from there has been copied as well. Now, if I save and quit and go back to here, we can also test out the abilities just for fun, really. Oh, what we might want to do also, yeah, is refresh all of this just to have the rest of the stuff here too. We change it here, we change it here, and we set it to Mayfly here. Save, go back to the game, and now if we did ever... Well, I'm gonna cut that out because that clearly didn't work. I guess those tags are there for fun, or maybe they might be just for the purposes of a server. So I don't know why I'm talking about that, seeing as I already said I'm gonna cut that out. So that ought to be everything. Hope it made everything clear. If not, that's what the comment section is for. If you found this helpful, or hell, if you just feel like it, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. I will put the link in the description unless I don't. I do stream there whenever I feel like it. Until the next thing I post, live free. Fuck the government.